and colleague Senator Rick Girdler. We're going to overlook the fact it was sponsored by Senator Girdler and invite him up to the witness stand anyway. As they're getting settled, we're going to call the roll. Thank you, Matt. Mr. Secretary.
Senator Berg.
Present in the room.
Senator Kerr. Senator Neal. Senator Schickel. Senator Schroeder. President Stovers. Senator Turner. Senator West.
Here.
Senator Wheeler.
Here.
Senator Carroll.
Here.
Chairman Westerfield.
Here. Seeing that we have a quorum and we are authorized to do business, we're jumping right in with the bill. Senator, you have the floor, and I know Senator West is there with you, and there is a committee substitute members that were distributed, and you should have in your folders. Go ahead, Senator.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. This bill was brought actually last year as we were having our meetings and going out into the public, or we was having Zoom meetings with people. They were asking me, can't we do something about the religious exemption of vaccinations? And I said, don't know, but we can try it. Last year we filed it. We didn't pursue it as hard as we have this year. And I'm thankful to Senator West, who helped us, and along with we've dealt with some of those in leadership to find out where and what we can do. And basically on my side of the bill is, when I came here, one of the things I wanted to protect was our religious liberties. I really do. I've had some moments that you feel like that you're fighting a losing battle, but in this situation, all I want to be able to is what we came here for when we came over from England. Or we need the freedom of religion. This bill just says on my behalf that we have the right to reject a vaccination based upon our own freedom of religion or freedom have a religious exemption. Don't need the church or anybody else in. It's based upon I announce my faith in Jesus Christ wholly on my behalf. And so we will take your word based upon this bill that it's against your religion. Now, I have had run into some issues, legal issues or protected class. And so knowing that Steve West is an attorney, also a senator, I thought, what better place to go than go get me an attorney? I would have got Wheeler or Turner, but they don't like me as well as Steve West, so I went this way.
Their rates are a lot higher.
Yeah. Well, they got that Eastern Kentucky rate. But anyway, that's the reason Senator West is with me, and that's why I brought the bill.
Senator West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know about the rate question. I'm a real estate lawyer, so yes, I have a totally different rate. I think I don't do contingency work, but this is an important issue to the state. Senator Girdler, filed the bill, and he started the ball rolling. We worked with leadership. We worked with several other members of the caucus to get a final work product. The committee sub. There were some significant changes to the bill in the committee sub. We put it in a different section of statute. There was some question as to whether or not there would be an issue as to forming a new protected class, religious protected class. It doesn't do that because it's in a different section. We took out the conscientious exception part of the bill. So now it is just religious and medical. But real quick, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll go through the bill. It's a simple bill. It's in two parts. The first part of the bill simply allows when an employer does a vaccine mandate. In Kentucky, we will allow two exceptions to that. One is in the case of a sincerely held religious belief, and the other one is in a case of a medical exception. As part of that, we require that the employer provide notice of these exceptions to their employee. We put in the bill how they're supposed to do that, It is very simple to the employer. It's a one-page sign-off sheet. The companies that are doing vaccine mandates, I'm sure they're already having the employee sign something, so it's really, there's no more bureaucracy than is already there. So it simply says if you're going to have a vaccine mandate, the employee has to have notice of it. They have to have the opportunity for these two exceptions, and they have to sign off. What's important to note, and what most people don't realize, is these two exceptions already exist in other areas of the law. As it pertains to the federal law, there's already an exception, and I'll get to that in a second on the second part of the bill. There's already a religious exception in federal law. As a matter of fact, there's already a religious exception and medical exception in Kentucky state law. So if you look at KRS 214036, if a health department mandates a vaccine in Kentucky, you have under 214, you have these rights for religious exemption there already. So this just kind of follows what we already do there. The second part of the bill, there is a federal vaccine mandate as it corresponds to healthcare entities. That mandate was held up by the U.S. Supreme Court. They struck down one mandate but held up another mandate, and that was one of those. As part of that existing federal law, there is another section of federal law that allows a religious exception. That's already in federal law. So all this bill does in that case is say, if you're one of those entities, you have to provide notice to your employee that that exception exists, and they have to sign off on it, just like we did in the upper section of the bill. So that's the essence of the bill. This, in my opinion, this is about personal, individual medical freedom, the right to choose for yourself if you want to be vaccinated or not vaccinated, and it protects the rights of the individual, but it also provides a framework and some clear guidelines for employers if they want to do the mandate.
Thank you both. We've got someone named Bethany Clark with what looks to be the Kentucky Medical Freedom Group here. If you want to come up and speak. Did you want to speak? Yes. It didn't say yes or no. It just mentioned the bill number.
You can sit over here.
Yeah.
While you're getting situated, Senator Berg, you've got a question?
I do.
Fire away. And Senator Neal after that.
And I'm trying to figure out how to get permission to ask all of them. All right. You've already said that this would exempt healthcare workers, correct? Healthcare workers are already mandated, and this would not preclude that mandate.
The federal law applies to health situations.
And private businesses would only be impacted in that they have to offer that for a medical or a religious exemption. Okay.
Exception, yes.
Exception, right. My concern then would be with the second page. I've already mentioned this to you. Number 4, written opinion of a healthcare provider that the required immunization would be injurious to the employee's health shall be the only documentation required for an employee's claimed health exemption. And for the purposes of this subsection, a healthcare provider includes everything from a podiatrist to a chiropractor to a pharmacist. Now, these are healthcare providers that this decision is completely outside of their purview. I mean, a pharmacist has no way to determine whether a vaccine is going to be injurious to somebody. It's completely outside of their medical purview. So is it outside of the purview of a podiatrist. It is outside the purview of an optometrist. These decisions do not fall under, these are not the type of healthcare practitioners that have the background and the experience to make this decision. And my concern is you're basically setting up a market where people are going to be willing and able and readily, and we've seen this happen all over the country already, to hand somebody $100, and that pharmacist is willing to put his license on the line because there's nothing here that gets a pharmacist in trouble for making up a document that's not medically true, okay? So there's no recourse on the backside for somebody to say, come on in, hand me $100, probably wants to be cash, and I'll write you this letter. So I would very much appreciate if we would limit this list to those people who actually have the medical knowledge to make this decision and have a ramification on the backside for being willing to take money for a decision that they know is not medically sound.
Yes, can I respond, Senator Gertler? We spoke before the meeting. I'm definitely open to changes in this section, but I'm going to respectfully push back just a little bit. Through the COVID pandemic, normally I would agree with you, but through the COVID pandemic, we've opened this thing way up to who has the right to dispense vaccines and offer medical advice as it pertains to vaccines. So to say that they don't have the expertise to give advice on the immunization, for instance, a pharmacist, they are currently giving the immunization, and they are providing advice to clients who come to them for the immunization. So it goes both ways, but yes, we could tighten this up a little bit, and I wouldn't mind doing that. But the main reason for this exhaustive list is if someone wants the vaccine exception, I don't want them to be able to go to their doctor, their normal doctor, and if the state decides to apply pressure on the backside and maybe sends out a letter that say, oh, if you issue any of these letters, you better watch out for your Medicaid funds. I don't want the doctors to feel any pressure, or the healthcare professionals to feel any pressure on the backside. I want them to feel free to give honest medical advice. So,
all right. And as a follow-up, I
Yes,
do
ma'am.
want to add that we are coming across data now that in certain small subsets of the population, this vaccine may be injurious. That is, we are finding that. It's a very small subset. But I also, so I understand what you're saying. You don't want people on one side to not feel that they're going to get hurt if they give somebody a medical excuse that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to just set up a market where somebody could be making literally thousands of dollars a day writing these for anybody who wants it. So there has to be some sort of balance going on there. And I appreciate understanding what I'm saying, and I think I understand what you're saying also. I did not even consider that possibility.
and absolutely, in this day and time, this isn't like the smallpox vaccine or a vaccine that's been out there for 25 years. We're in new territory here, right? So we're dealing with a vaccine that's available through emergency use authorization.
Yeah.
And so in 3 to 3 years, we'll find out what the effect of the vaccine is after 5 years. And so this is just, we're trying to balance interests and give people the opportunity to.
But this bill applies to every vaccine in the state. It's not
does.
just limited to COVID. This applies
It does.
to measles, mumps, and rubella. This applies to polio. This applies to the childhood vaccines, which is why I'm so very, I want to make sure we do this correctly.
And I think, Senator Berg, I think this actually kind of mirrors what had been happening in the past. So if not a lot of businesses had vaccine mandates, but those who did usually would allow for exceptions.
Right.
So.
But we also do not allow podiatrists in this state to weigh in on whether or not a child should or should not be vaccinated. So I just want to make sure that we do limit this to the healthcare people who actually would have the knowledge to be able to make this decision.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Clark, I'm going to let you speak briefly if you'd like, and then I've got a couple more questions, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you. My name is Bethany Clark.
Rick, you might, Senator? Thank you.
My name is Bethany Clark from Lexington, Kentucky. I'm here representing the leadership, members, and supporters of Kentucky Medical Freedom Coalition. In the past 2 years, we have been contacted by countless Kentuckians who have faced workplace vaccine mandates. Many employees are unaware that they were eligible for medical or religious exemptions based on existing federal law because their workplace didn't tell them about it. Some employers, even upon request, have denied employees a path to submit exemptions in clear violation of those federal laws. Some Kentucky employers have made the process to obtain a religious or medical exemption extremely difficult, if not impossible. We've received countless examples of the onerous stipulations placed upon many Kentucky workers. Here are just a few examples. Letters from pastors are being required, contrary to EEOC guidance on this issue. Some workplaces have a limited list of recognized mainstream religions that they say qualify for an exemption in their establishment. Even well-cited religious exemptions are being denied by companies as being inadequate, with no mention of an appeals process, also set forth in EEOC guidance, and with no information as to how exactly their sincere religious belief was considered not sincere enough. HR departments have become the arbiters of whether or not a medical exemption is good enough, or only accepting exemptions for a significantly limited set of conditions, even in the face of thoroughly documented medical exemptions submitted by healthcare providers. Employees have had to speak in front of a review committee to discuss their exemption request in very high-pressure situations, no advance notice, and then are treated in a very adversarial manner. That's just a sampling of the communications we've received. ADA and EEOC rights are being violated right and left, and the process to file a claim with these federal agencies can be lengthy, especially when the employee is facing termination or has already been fired. For many workplaces, this is the first time that they've had a vaccine requirement, so many employers are not familiar with existing federal laws that relate to these issues. This bill helps employers by clearly outlining their obligations. On behalf of the many Kentuckians already affected by these issues, Kentucky Medical Freedom Coalition strongly urges passage of SB 93. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. I appreciate it. Senator Neal, you had a question?
No, I'm going to pass at this point and look into this independently and get back with the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator West, I was just going to echo some of the comments from Senator Berg. Based on my feedback, talking to a doctor, they're concerned, too, that we just tighten that up. I do appreciate, though, your answer. Hadn't considered that, but that was some of the feedback that I got as well. So just she's not the only one, I guess, with thinking about that. Thank you.
Got a motion from Senator Stivers, second from Senator Wheeler. Any further questions? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Berg,
This is a tough vote for me because, vaccines have had a tremendous impact on not just the United States, not just Kentucky, but the entire world, and have saved millions and millions and millions of lives. And as far as I'm aware, there's no religious organization to date that has published any contraindications to the COVID vaccine. There is not a single an organized religion in the world that has come out and said we have a religious exemption to this vaccination. So what you're talking about is closely held conscientious beliefs. I personally think that an employer has the right to require an employee to get vaccinated. God did not give you that job. You earned that job and you work to keep it. And I've always been required. So for me, this is like a new world that people think they don't have to be required, because I've been required my entire life and it never dawned on me that I shouldn't be so. And I believe that I should be. So, but I also understand people are scared. I understand people don't want to be
Please
forced.
wind it up, Senator, and we need your vote, too.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay,
Thank you.
Senator Carroll, Senator Kerr, Senator Neal,
I'm going to pass at this time and look into it some more and reserve my vote for the floor, and I'll discuss this with the sponsor. Thank you.
Senator Schickel, Senator Schroeder, President Stivers, Senator Turner,
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to explain.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for bringing this. I hope, Mr. both of you are working on this bill hard. I hope you don't cut this back so that if it becomes physicians only and they're charging $300 when some of these other facilities, these other people that's got doctorate degrees can then also do that. The conscientious objector was a common word in the Army, that was a person who had a religious belief not to carry a gun. So that's where that comes from. I appreciate this. The sad thing is my secretary had all 3 of the shots and she's out of work for having COVID. Her mother had all 3 of the shots and she's out for having COVID. Now those statistics will probably never get in these statistics we have. She didn't want to do it, but she did it because of trying to keep clients that come in and saw us from having it, because her mother really had a conscientious objective, but they went the extra step. So this thing's not infallible, and I respect what you all are doing to give the people who have this religious or other belief not to have to get it and make the employers do that. I understand they have to notify other employees that you don't, but that's the real world I live in. Thank you all, and I vote aye again.
Senator West. Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Chairman Westerfield.
I vote aye. I have some reluctance, and I've expressed that to you, Senator West. Not as much Senator Girdler, but Senator West, you and I have talked about the language in the sub several times. I have some concern about that, but I also recognize we're not putting anything new out there. These are exemptions that exist. The EEOC has these exact 2 ways to get there. So with that in mind, I vote aye. And I believe the count is 8-1. 8 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 pass. So the bill passes with favorable expression as amended by the sub. Thank you both for your hard work. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.